Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of D-List Diaries.
Hey, everyone.
Hey family.
We have Kirsten and Chris in the house, so a lot of fun to be had today, but we are bringing you a very special episode because we have been getting flooded with requests for an episode about our thoughts on Married at First Sight and the situations at hand. So here you have it, everyone.
And it's coming in piping hot, okay? Because I'm coming in hotter than a Hot Wheel.
I can feel it. I already know that you're going to be on one today, so we can get right into it.
There is a lot to unpack.
Okay, let's unpack it. I want y'all to start first because give me y'all say y'all are still married and I just love y'all so much. What do y'all think about just everything that's happening, that's unfolding with all the relationships? We're going to really hone in today on David, because Nicole and I were recliner fans.
We had high hopes.
We had such high hopes. We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you.
Well, before we start, actually, funny story about that. So a few weeks ago, we were watching the episode where something with Instagram comes up, and I was joking around with Chris, and I was like, "Oh, do you want to see my phone?" And he was like, "No, I don't care." And I was like, "Look at all the guys I'm messaging," and it was like my dad, my best friend Robin, and I'm obviously joking because I don't message men. So we're going through it, and he sees that I actually messaged David because I literally said, "We were rooting for you," and he's like, "Oh. So you are messaging David." I was like, well, this looks bad. However, that is not the case. And we were dying laughing. It was like I got caught doing the thing that I was trying to show I wasn't doing.
Well, I mean, you didn't delete the messages like Madison did, so
He's got his shade out, so you better get your umbrella.
Clock it, because it's getting shady in here. Back to the deleted messages. So when Madison came in there with those messages deleted, I said, y'all are playing in Michelle's face right now. Nicole, I was ready to punch Madison in her face through the screen. I was like so angry at home. I was furious. And I was like, now, Michelle, I know you don't like David, but I've experienced something similar to that on the show. And it's like, that's why I don't feel like couples should interact with each other and become close. And I know we're all each other's support system because we're the ones that's in this accelerated experiment. But at the same time, don't talk to my man, whether I like him or not. You know how I am, Nicole. You've seen me get a little, flustered before when it came to Shaquille. So I don't feel like the couple should have that much access to each other. It builds the relationships. I don't play that SHIT. Let me tell you one thing.
Curse, you can, come on, you could do it.
I know, it's hard for me. When I only use profanity when I get super upset or if I get passionate about something. And it upsetted me when they became friends and gym buddies and they're going out at the bars and she's lying to Allan talking about she's going with friends. No, you're going with David. Be clear about what you're doing. Don't sit up here and lie to Allan. And I wish Allan the best. I hope he finds love. He deserves a good woman because Madison was trifling and so was David. But I want to hear what y'all have to say about their trifling double S's.
What I will say, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but as a Libra, I can find both sides to every situation. And this is a completely messed up situation. How David and Madison are handling everything, so messed up. However, the Libra in me is saying, I don't actually care that Madison and David are together. And I'm not even mad about it because if they like each other, let them like each other. But the way they went about it is such a slap in everyone's face.
It's disrespectful.
Yes. And I say it all the time. I mean, I know Chris would never put me in this situation, but I can get over an action. Like I could probably get over cheating or doing something messed up, but I cannot get over the lying, the making me look stupid and feel stupid. So if they had just come out and said, hey, we've developed feelings for each other, we didn't plan it. I do feel like Michelle and Allan could have been upset, but like okay with it. But the lie, I mean, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think they should have just been honest from the beginning because David didn't do it right by lying. But I mean, at the same time, he was not getting any of that energy from Michelle. So I don't blame him for like seeking out that kind of partnership and compassion. But again, it's just the way they went about it that I find completely wrong. And the fact that Madison was leading Allan on was the big, huge thing for me. Like, she should have just straight up told him, I'm not into you, instead of having this guy go and get made over by $3,000 worth of clothes and all this other stuff. she kept giving him hope. And that's the problem I have. I have more of a problem with how Madison handled it than David. We all knew David was lying. Like that was some of the worst lying I think I've ever seen.
Come on.
And
like,
the fact that
do
he
better.
doubled down on the food and then he lied about the lie. So like it just got worse. And it all obviously everyone knew from the beginning that it was for Madison. But I mean, props to Michelle for being a private eye and figuring that all out. Like that was pretty impressive. She had literally nothing to go off of and she figured that shit out.
A woman's intuition is what it's called. And so for me, watching these last 2 to 3 episodes was very triggering because I've been through that in relationships previously before the show, and I went through something similar on our season because they tried to like have me talk to Eris about his relationships and what's going on. Honestly, that's Eris and his partner's business. Shaquille and I tried our best to refrain from that and worry about our own marriage. We don't have a take on other partners and want to get in other partners' business because what happens is that energy grows, like what happened to Madison and David. And I was so upset. If you cannot be honest with someone and you have the nerve to go out behind somebody's back every single night, and when they rolled out them receipts, I said, roll them out.
It was the best editing on this show, period. Like
Best.
receipts side by side.
Receipts every single night. I love when they roll out those receipts because I want to see Madison coming in from her nights with David. But my thing is, if you bold enough to do it, be bold enough to own up to it. Like to hold yourself accountable for your actions, and that's what pissed me off the most. And that's why Michelle was so furious because they were lying in her face. I commend Allan for not effing David butt up. I commend him for that because he
I mean,
would
you
have
think he
handled
could? Come on. I know you love him, but
Allan would have handled David because when you're angry, your adrenaline is so much stronger than your natural strength. Allan would have punched him and it would have been a KO. Period.
I'm sorry to talk about your man like that, Kirsten. No disrespect.
No, I mean, he would have knocked his teeth out and he would have been reclining from recovery from lying to Allan in his face. Fake friends. That's why I'm like, they use that friend word way too loosely for me. Because I don't call everybody my friend, first of all, because friends don't lie to friends.
They've known each other like 6 weeks. And I know
2
that
days.
we
2
all
days.
had a very good friendship, but we continued the friendship after filming. But after 6 weeks, if one of you, no offense, but if one of you was like, we're never going to talk again, I'd be bummed, but I'd be like, okay, I don't really know them that well, so it sucks, but
Correct.
okay. So the fact that
Correct.
he's like, oh, he's my friend, they're my friend, she's my friend, like, you're not friends. You're filming a show together. You've hung out a few times.
Yeah, they use that friend word way too loosely. And when Madison had the nerve to say, do you want to see my phone? I could have snatched that phone out her hands and threw it right back at her. Because don't come in here playing games with me. When people play mind games, that's what's upsetting you the most. And that's what makes people more dangerous. Because it's like now you're playing mind games with me. You deleted the messages and now you ask me if I want to see the phone. The nerve. Stop playing with me. Go find a dog to play with. Go find somebody PlayStation because what you plan is dangerous games. And they better be glad Allan handled himself very well.
I'm really struggling with this situation because everything they did and every way they went about it was so wrong. But I know David is a villain in this, but he was not leading Michelle on. How he handled it was really messed up, but at least there was no hope for Michelle. But Madison was leading Allan on, and every improvement he made was a positive improvement for him and his future. Yeah. But I just feel like she was, dangling the carrot, and I was heartbroken by that. Like, Michelle will get over it. She'll just be bitter, whatever, but Allan's going to be heartbroken.
Well, the couple things that bothered me was, I'm sorry, but David's style is not much better than Allan's. like she was picking apart his, and you got David who, I mean, he likes comfort. Nothing wrong with that. But like his style is not much better than Allan's. Not. Like he doesn't have the eccentric stuff. But again, his style, I just didn't get that part because that was one of her big things. And then the fact that she just kept leading him on again. Like that was horrible to me. It's like Allan literally told her, if you don't want to be with me, tell me. And he would not have had a problem. The main thing that I had a problem with is David was the one that had to go to Allan and tell him about everything. Like, why didn't Madison do that? She should have been the one to tell him. Yeah, or done it together instead of separating it out. And they chose to tell him when he was at his drunkest moment of the night.
which we'll talk about because I have things to say about that.
It's just, that's what really bothers me is the way they went about it. And then plus it's 8 weeks. Keep your text to yourself until after 8 weeks. Like there's no need for it to get to that point. And there's obviously the debate, have Madison and David had sex and things like that. I honestly don't think they did.
No.
But at the same time, like he obviously felt it was acceptable to send that type of text.
That text, no, let's say what the text said because that was funny to me. You look so yummy. I just want to eat you up.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, we don't know the situation, but I really feel like he sent that text because they've been flirting and he thinks he can. But
correct.
I kind of believe her when she says she doesn't know it was meant for her.
She's lying. I know when somebody's lying.
I will choose to believe her that she did not know because it wasn't an active conversation. However, when Michelle brought it up with the girls, that would have been an opportune time to be like, we were out together. We might have been texting.
David confessed to sending her that text message once he got more comfortable with Madison. But back to what Chris was saying, first of all, I know why Madison likes David. He's just like a teddy bear and he knows how to comfort her in her time of need. And an emotional, intelligent man is so attractive. I mean, every woman loves that. So she's going through a stressful time. We know what it's like to go through stressful moments when we're filming for that show. I used to go to sleep sometime after filming because I was emotionally exhausted. I was so stressed out and so tired of going through what I was going through in my marriage and sitting here having to sit in front of y'all in group meetings, being nervous and having anxiety and not even know that I was having anxiety, showing up for that and having to articulate my thoughts. So it's just like, I understand what they're all going through. We all can. We know what they're going through. But for Madison to lie to everybody, to lie to Michelle, to lie to Allan, that's just rude. It's so rude because I feel like at first Madison was scared. She was very nervous to confess to Allan because at first her and Allan, they were being open and honest with each other. And so she got nervous because she knew what she was doing was not the proper way to go about liking or confiding in somebody or building a relationship that you know that you shouldn't be doing. You're both married. That's why when Dr. Pepper and Dr. Pia and Pastor Kyle were looking at David and Madison, they were so disgusted because it's so disgusting. It was disgusting. I was disgusted at home.
Do you think if that text message had not been sent to Michelle and that whole thing unfolded, that they would have come out and said it? Or do you think they would have waited for decision day to be over so they could say no and then started it up? Because I honestly think that they had this going on behind the scenes, but weren't planning to blow up their marriages on national television a week before decision day. But the text message came out. Michelle was an excellent sleuth. Do you think that they were planning on it, or you think that that was bad luck?
I think it was bad luck because both of their names, like David said, starts with an M. And for him to come up with all the lies about his food and his cousin and all this and all that, try that with a child. Try that with somebody else because save those lies, sweetie pie. They were being each other's sneaky links.
And I'm sorry, but like the most logical lie that he should have said is, hey, I was trying to do something to spark something in this marriage and I guess it didn't work.
Be a man about it.
But I mean, he should have been honest. I'm saying, but if he was going to lie.
He admitted to texting other girls.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Again, I don't know Michelle, but I bet if he said, hey, I was texting another woman, I know it's not right, because he admitted to texting Tiffany, quote unquote. If he had said to her it was another woman and left out that it was Madison, I think she would have been upset, but she would have been like, okay, you're not invested, neither am I, let's part ways.
I agree. But y'all want me to tell y'all something else that I commend Michelle for and Allan? A lot of words are fighting words to me. When Madison tried to check Michelle, asking her, you just gonna come in hot like that? Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm coming in real hot. You better be glad I don't mink, 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 like really put them paws on you, like put them hands on you because you playing in her face. You're being disrespectful. You're lying to her. You're deleting messages. You act like you don't have, like you don't like David. Be upfront about your behaviors. Own up to your behaviors. Like I cannot respect people like that. I just cannot. Like once your respect is lost with me, it's lost. Like I don't even want to look at your face anymore.
Well, and then David was in the background just piping in random stuff. And you could tell both the women were getting really annoyed.
She said you need him to protect you.
Honestly, I have to commend Juan and Carla in particular,
Oh yeah.
because
Correct.
the way
Oh
they
yeah.
handled it and the way they called them out on their shit was
I loved it.
it was honestly, it was very professional. It was very respectful. And it
Yes.
was kind of like what you guys did was wrong and you need to own up to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the big thing because those
Yeah.
two, you don't need to take sides in the situation.
Mm-mm.
But what Juan and Carla did that I really liked, they called a spade a spade. They called it out for what it was, said you need to take ownership of it.
And I would have said the same thing. I would have been like, that's not cool for y'all to do that. That was not cool.
But they also said you kind of, by doing this, you kind of ruined this whole dynamic that we have with
Yeah.
each other and you broke a ton of trust. Like nobody
Yeah.
trusts you guys now. And then I even also liked what Juan said. He's like, the way you guys went about this, you guys lied so much in order to do this. Like that's how you're starting your relationship off. Are you going to be able to trust each other because of how much lying you did for this? And I think that's kind of valid. Like David was
Yeah.
he was not good at lying, but he kept a straight face the whole time and he stuck to his guns. And that's kind of worrisome.
I do agree. However, again, the Libra in me, the judge who has to balance all the scales, I feel like everything is situational. So think of this specific situation. Like I don't know that they will ever be in a situation again where
that's
they're
true.
both married to other people and find their way back to each other and lying and breaking up this group dynamic. Like it's so specific. And it's very easy for us to sit here and say they should have been honest, which they should have. But at the same time, I don't know that that's the word I'm looking for. I don't know if it's a way to judge their character so much as their character in this situation. I honestly, if I was either of them, I could probably build that trust because I know what the other person was doing, but anyone besides them would probably have a hard time dating them in the future. So I hope they're
Yeah.
still together
Yeah.
and I hope they're doing well because at the end of the day, that's the end goal. If they're happy and still together a year plus later, then all of this will have been worth it.
Sweetie, no, Nicole, that was going to be my question to you and Chris. Do y'all think that David and Madison will have a successful relationship after this show is over? My answer is no. They were able to make it through the situation and be each other's support system. And it would have been different if they would have been truthful because if y'all want to be friends, cool. Madison and David are not going to be a real couple. And they were sitting up there smiling on it, smiling at each other. And Madison kind of made it be known that she didn't want to take things further. She's okay with what they have for now. On decision day, nobody's standing together. I don't even know at this point. I don't even have much hope for Camille and Thomas because Camille said something on one of the previews, and you know how they do us. They dangle stuff. They leave
You
us on a
cannot trust those
cliffhanger.
previews, Kirsten. You
I
know
know
better.
that. I know better. And I really want Camille and Thomas to stay together. And they're the only ones that's going to stay together. But after this show, Madison and David, it's not going to last long. They're not even going to have a friendship. And they sat there and did all of this for nothing. And I, like you said, Chris, I do appreciate Juan and Carla for calling them out and telling them, hey, you need to go apologize to Allan. David and Madison owed Allan an apology.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And when he came and tore up all that stuff in the house, I said, good. He better be glad she didn't own the house and he didn't burn the house down.
Yeah, but I think that was very
I
guided.
was glad he did it. He didn't put his hands on nobody. Go tear up everything that got her face on it.
I think there was producers in the ear being like, "Hey, rip up this, burn this, do
Yeah.
that." Like that was totally happening in the background. It wasn't all on Allan. I'm sure there was some that he's like when he got in the moment because he was so upset.
When
I'm
he
sure he
kicked
was having
that
fun with it,
cabinet.
but
Like burning the vows.
yeah.
We know his producer. We very well.
mean,
We know
you're
his producer very well.
Yeah, I saw his producer come in there and I was laughing so hard, y'all. But what you say, Chris, it was producer based, had to be.
I think producers were in the ear there, but
No, for sure.
also who knows? Maybe Madison and David could be successful for the fact you don't know. Maybe her dream
No,
house is her significant other's basement. You don't know.
no.
I'm not saying they're going to get married, but
No.
I can see them having a relationship purely because they were lying to
Yeah.
everyone else. But how do we know they weren't being honest with each other?
They're not.
And they're also trauma bonding. Let's be
Yeah.
real. They were talking about their
Correct.
relationships.
I mean, I honestly think that David seems like he is pretty into her. She's a lot of what he was saying he wanted. So it is possible because we all know the only people that understand the experience is the ones that have gone through it. Like no one else can really fully understand what we've been through because they haven't been through
Mm-mm.
it. So again, I think they could work. And I don't have a problem overall with them seeing each other. Just again, it's the way they went about everything that was just left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. And it was really messed up how they hurt Allan. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
if Madison would have been pushing Allan away the whole time, kind of like Michelle was doing to David, I think it would have made more sense. But she wasn't. She was literally telling him, I can see a future with us. I can see a future with us. And that man was waiting up for her at
Ugh.
night and all kinds of stuff because he was getting excited to go on dates with her and everything else. And she should have just told him from the beginning, like, hey, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to go forward with this. And
Yeah.
then if Michelle and David did the same, then they could have been like, oh, we connected after this and whatever.
But
yeah.
question, do you think, and we can use us as a married couple because we are a married couple, and even if it was during the process, not now, if I randomly started not coming home at all or at 3 a.m. every night, would you not suspect, or would you not at least be a little weary of my intentions? Because I just find it very odd that that was her behavior. And he was like, oh, she likes to go out with her friends. Like, okay, but put your foot down. Say we're married. We're in this for 8 weeks. We still don't know if we're going to stay married. Maybe don't go out with your friends until 3 a.m. every night. Because
Yeah.
if you started doing that, let me tell you,
well,
this would be a different conversation.
I think they needed to have better communication is the main thing. Like she should have been saying, hey, I'm going to stay out. But like, it didn't seem like there was any communication with that whatsoever. So that was a problem. And honestly, it's kind of crazy because Allan literally sat down with her and said, hey, this was my initial feeling about you, that you're this party girl, you stay out late and all this other stuff. And she got super upset about it and made him feel so bad about it. But he was spot on. Like he was literally spot on. So like, I don't understand why she got that upset when he was honestly right about it. And then for her, this experience, like she was still single as far as she was concerned. Like that's what it
Yeah.
felt like because
Yeah.
she didn't really conduct herself like a married woman. Like she just didn't.
That's right.
And again, I don't know. I get the experience is weird and you go from single to married and you have to go through all this kind of like my life's different now. I have someone else to worry about. But at the same time, like I said, she just wasn't willing to change her style or her lifestyle. So at that point, I'm like, well, why did you even sign up for the show? You know what? You don't
Right.
want to change your lifestyle. You don't want to be married.
I agree. And I feel like she was trying to stay committed to the process, even though she was living a single life. But what I do want to say is for Allan, I just wish that he didn't try to change so much for her to like him. Like that
Mhm.
upset me
Yeah.
so much because like he was filming on OTF. And for those who don't know what OTF stands for, is on the fly. And it's when they interview us after a situation has happened. When he was filming for OTF, he wanted to cry. And I wanted to cry with him at home. It's like having a frog in your throat when you're so hurt and you can't even get your words out. And I just had so much empathy for him during that moment. I just recall his mama crying earlier on because
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
knew how kind he is and she knew his heart. And she knew once she met Madison, you can tell. Honestly, I'm a people reader. I can tell who a person is after 30 seconds. And that's why I said Madison and David are not going to last. I can tell when somebody's lying. I can just tell when people aren't genuine. I can see it the moment somebody walks in the door. And that's going to make me move accordingly because I know what type of person you are. And that's okay. If you don't like to be kind to people, cool. That's what you don't like to do. But we all knew when we saw Allan's mom and when we saw Allan that he is a man that is just heaven sent. And so it's no way he was going to be able to put his foot down. He was being honest with her and calling her out. And what happens is when people get called out about their BS, they can't handle the truth. And so that's why she wasn't receptive to his statement when he said that about her, because it was a true statement. And she wanted to do whatever she wanted to do. Madison wanted to do what Madison wanted to do, and she did that. But also, I'm sure she was moving out of a stress. So, like sometimes when people are stressed, they drink, they party, so that they won't have to think about the situation they're in. But if she would have been honest with him 100%, like you said, Chris, stop dragging him along and tell him off camera. She had enough
Right.
time to tell him, "Hey, I'm not interested, but let's just get through this commitment." Yeah, I've been talking to David because he's able to tell me about his situation and I talk to him about how I feel about you. But my thing is keep it real with the person you're in a relationship with. Don't go tell David how you feel about Allan. Tell Allan how you feel about him. You've been honest with him all this time.
Well, that's the problem right there, is that they were telling other people how they were feeling instead of telling each other. But this is the best thing for Allan because
Mhm.
he would have changed his whole
Mm-hmm.
entire life for her.
No, he did.
I personally, and I say everything with a grain of salt because I don't know him, but I feel like this is almost a good thing in a larger sense because I I think he thinks he's ready for marriage, but I think he needs a lot more self work because it seemed like they were both drinking a lot, drinking to excess, always fighting. And that screams that you're trying to hide the pain of something. And he had such a
Correct.
bad childhood. He was having these nightmares about her cheating and all of that. Like, I just want to reach out and hug him and say, like, you need to deal with your demons before you go into a relationship.
Yes.
Instead of him knowing who he was and what he needed, he was just willing to be what Madison wanted. And I don't think that's a good foundation for any marriage, even if it is a woman who worships him. So I hope that from this, he's taken that time to work on himself and realize what he needs, what he wants in a woman. And then he can go into a relationship and compromise, but not change his whole being just to make someone else happy, because no one wants that. I wouldn't want you to change who you are at your core for me. Sure, clothes are fine, Invisalign, whatever is fine, but he would have literally done anything to make her happy. And
Yeah.
He would have. He would have worshipped the ground she walked on. And I love when men, I'm not gonna lie, I love when a man worship the ground a woman walks on. But if that love is reciprocated, if that woman treats him like a king as well, I love to see love. When I see love, it just makes me so joyful. I'm like, oh my gosh, touch me, pinch me. Are y'all real? How long have y'all been married? Like, give me all the tips. Like, how do I get wifed up? Like, I want to know, because it's just people who have that, it's just contagious. But I love to see it. I don't know. I just wish the best for Allan, but I do want to move on from Allan, David, Madison, and Michelle, because I do want to get into MM and Aichi. Ike, however.
I do want to say, I know that a lot of people are saying, like, oh, David only did this because of the way Michelle treated him. And I look at their actions completely separate. Like, what he did does not excuse her behavior in the first half of this experiment.
I agree.
She does not get a pass for being
Mm-mm.
so unwilling to work with him because of what he did. So I also don't want to see, like, oh, well, she was right to be a bitch to him. Like, no, he was not
No.
doing this in the beginning.
No.
But at the same time, I don't believe that he
Don't stoop that
did
level.
what he did because of the way Michelle treated him. I
Correct.
think he did what he did because he felt how he felt. And it didn't help that Michelle was not giving him anything, but I don't think their actions are intertwined. I think they were just not doing great things. Obviously, what he did is worse, but I didn't like that I was seeing a lot of, like, well, she made him do this. Like, she didn't make him do anything. However, she does not get a pass because he was a dick.
I agree, Nicole.
Honestly, at the end, I'm just glad that Allan stood to his guns. Like he didn't give in to anything. He basically stood very true to his conviction and was like, I'm done with this. I'm moving on. I don't need an explanation. I don't need closure. And I'm moving on. And I kind of respected
I
that
love
because
that.
it's an 8-week experience. Like what they did was not right. But at the same time, this is not like this is a girlfriend or somebody that he's been dating for years and then they got married and then this happened. So, I mean, what closure does he need? Like, just move on, like be better than that. And I kind of like that. In my opinion, I think he kind of took the high road.
He did. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you just don't need that explanation from them. Like let them be with each other and
Mm-hmm.
then don't have that toxicity in your life and move on.
Amen, Chris. Amen. You said that. And I want to say I was embarrassed by David's and Madison's behavior. And I just felt like it was so disgusting. And I just wish that they would have been transparent with everybody and not messed up the energy for the entire cast,
Yeah.
because we're a really close cast. We were the Sweet 16. Season 16, we were a close cast. We kept majority of our business to ourselves. We didn't try to get all in each other's business. We were there to support. And I will say, I love the support that MM and Camille, how they went to go support Allan and went to go comfort
Yeah.
him and went to make for sure he was calm before he took off on the road. Like, I loved that Juan and Carla was able to, speak up and tell people to hold themselves accountable for their actions. Like, they're a great cast. I will say that about them. So I do appreciate that people can be there for others when they need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Allan didn't have family and friends when that stuff was going on with him. Camille and MM ran out there to help him. And then Juan went out there to check on him and talk to him and calm him down. And they had a brotherhood conversation, because it is that type of relationship when we're there with each other on those sets. Like, it's tough. And nobody will ever understand what we go through and how many tears we shed or how many nights we sleep or can't sleep and can't wake up and get out of the bed. Like, it is tough. 8 weeks seem like 8 years.
Well, I mean, and even look at our season, like Clint and Gina obviously weren't going to work. So you could argue that it was similar to a Michelle and David type situation. But the thing with
Mm-hmm.
that is they saw it through, they got through to decision day. And then Mac obviously had interest in Gina, and they didn't explore that until after decision day. To
Mm-hmm.
me, it's not the exact same situation, but it's very similar. And if David and Madison would have handled it that way, I think it would
Mm-hmm.
have been perceived a lot better than the way they did it.
I agree.
Our season, I think, was a good example of that, and that shows how tight knit we all were and how much we all had respect for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in that situation, like that is the right way to handle something like
Right.
that. And what they did was the completely wrong way.
Complete wrong way. I agree, Chris. I totally agree.
Yeah, even with Clint and Dom, even though it was a joke kissing, like everyone got each other's blessing. It was very just all in good fun. We all made peace with
Mhm.
decision day.
If my husband, ex-husband, partner think that they would ever kiss another woman in front of me or behind my back, I will punch both of them in their face. I don't care if
You
I
were
like
a
them or not.
different situation.
I
You were
know.
not
Big difference. Yeah. But I
you
don't
were
care.
not a couple who mutually said no and had no interest in each other.
I'm all about respect though. I'm just all about respect. I don't find anything like that funny. I don't care if it was just a laughing matter. I that messes with my head. Like I'm glad. Remember, I didn't show up that day.
Yeah.
Emotionally, mentally, I was tapped out. Like that doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. But you know that about yourself, and any man you're with would know that. I'm
Sure
completely
better.
different. If I'm not interested in someone, I don't care who's doing what with them as long as you're honest and there's no lingering feelings. But if there's not, shoot your shot. Not with this man. No one is ever gonna get to touch this man.
I'm still a stalker. I still ask Shaquille, who is that? Is that her? Is that your new girl? Like I want to know. Let me know before the world. Please do tell.
So MM and Aichi. This is the
And
I honestly feel bad. I feel bad for many people, but I feel bad for MM and I feel bad for Camille and Thomas because Camille and Thomas are not even getting a chance to talk about their relationship or explore or do anything because all they have to do is talk about Madison and Allan, Michelle and David, MM and Akechi. Like we don't even get to see them being in love.
ADT.
Okay. Did you notice that Carla and Juan and Camille and Thomas did?
The
They were like,
ads.
wow, this is a really bad
I
situation,
was
but
so
I feel safe with
annoyed.
ADT at home.
I was annoyed.
We were
That was
dying.
very cringe and
It's so
yeah.
cringe. So cringe.
It didn't air, but you know, we had to do the same thing for James Allen for the ring, and it didn't end up airing, but thank God because that was so cringy,
That-
but we were dying.
They literally said that in the middle of talking about David and Madison and that whole situation. And like, oh well, we at least we feel safe because this house is protected by ADT. I was like,
Oh my
what?
God.
I was like, that was so horrible.
It was ridiculous. They didn't even make it seem like natural. If they would have
No.
slid
It
it
was
in
so
there
bad.
very naturally, it would have been different. But
I just
it
imagine
was
a
so
producer like
noticeable.
holding up ADT. Mention ADT.
You don't talk about security systems before bed? That's our foreplay. I'm like, hey, honey, is the alarm on? No.
I want you to protect this body.
But Kirsten, I mean, let's dig into MM and Akichi. I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts here, as do we, but let's dig into that one.
He is so triggering. And sometimes I do feel like her tone and her delivery is not the best because I do feel like they both antagonize one another.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like if they were able to come together as adults and communicate properly, like mature people, they would have a more productive conversation because even Dr. Peter had to stop them and say, listen, this is not a productive conversation. And you want to be able to walk away from a conversation knowing that you had an understanding on both ends. But when he came in there at the couples retreat with that one pager talking about sign here, I said, I ain't gonna say what I said, but I said, boy, please.
He was not the brightest and was listening to a producer, I'm sure, in that
No,
situation and
I'm
came
gonna
in.
tell you
No,
who he
well, in
is.
terms of the paper and
You
coming in with
you
the one piece
know
of paper.
you can't even file for divorce until after the
Mhm.
last episode airs, which is the Where Are They Now? So you can't even file. And how long did it take you to get your divorce after you
Like
filed?
I'm willing to
years.
bet that a producer printed out that one sheet
No,
of paper
no.
and gave it to him.
I told y'all I'm a people reader. What I call Ike, he's petty. He's sassy.
Oh,
Yeah.
for
When
sure.
Oh, yeah.
he
No, I
does,
agree with
when
that.
he has those behaviors and those tendencies, I understand why she starts to talk to him like that because he always has a rebuttal. And for him to try to be a butthole to walk in there with that 1-page paper. Call me and
Do
tell me
it.
you want a
Call him an
divorce.
asshole. Do it.
When they tried to get me to call somebody a F boy so badly on our season, I said I don't say those words. Like, but yeah, no, he's a butthole. And when he walked in there with that 1-pager, she said, "I love how sarcastic she was back
Yeah.
at him. How
Yeah.
am I going to sign this? It says 1 of 4. Where are the other 3 pages? Period."
Because it
Because
wasn't
clap back at
real.
him. Yeah, it wasn't real, but no, that was him being petty.
I do think he had intent to embarrass her,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
He
he
had to show
did.
up.
she honestly played that card right back at him. Like it
She
was tit for
did.
tat. Totally. It was tit for tat in those moments. And she went back and embarrassed him. Like
Yeah,
she's like,
period.
"You're not gonna embarrass me, I'm gonna embarrass you." But at the same time,
Period.
like,
And they both petty
yeah,
though, because they
yeah.
both petty. Because I would have got up and walked away. Because what, like I used to do, Shaquille. What I used to tell him, Shaquille, I'm not about to do this with you. Period.
I would have caused a scene. Had he would have
Yeah,
gotten the rise out of me that he would have wanted. So he angers me so much because,
me too.
you know, I have a short fuse and he's someone that pushes the right buttons and I commend her. I'm like, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I'm sure she's not perfect. I can see a few of the things that he's talking about, but she takes the high road more than I ever would.
He has a victim mentality. He just
He
always plays
does.
the victim no matter what the situation.
He does. That's why I don't like him. Anytime they show his face on the screen, he could literally, this is how he walked in the door and he was there for 3 seconds. He walked in for 3 seconds and walked back out for 3 seconds. I was like, because we don't need to see his face. Because I
Dumb
was,
little hat and glasses.
that little had a blue jeans denim jacket. Get out of here.
The way I was screaming at the TV when they had that talk with Dr. Pia, which, side note, I give her a lot of credit. She is redeeming herself for every feeling I had about her during our season. I think she's doing an excellent job. But the way they have that conversation and she walked out of there was like, yeah, I'd like to give this marriage a chance. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well,
What?
for me, I think the experts should have put an end to this a long time ago. They
Yeah.
saw how toxic it was and how it was like
Yes,
destroying
yes.
her. And it got to a point where she was like sacrificing so much of herself that she just
Mm-hmm.
started to get quiet. And obviously she got to a point, especially with that divorce paper and everything else, where she's just like, enough's enough. And she just
Yeah.
came out and was like, "You're not going to hurt me anymore." And that's what bothered me, because when they were all sitting down, they were basically like, "So do you guys want a divorce?" It's like, are you kidding me? Like, you should just told them, "Here are the papers now. Like, let's get this done
Yeah.
with." Because it was just that toxic.
Yeah, just how they let Mac and Dom off so easily. But I do feel sorry for MM because I know she wants
Yeah.
love. But I feel like if she's partnered with the right person, then she can become more feminine. Because what happens to us as women, and especially African American women, when you work that hard and when you're a boss, she has her own practice. It's hard to turn off that side of you because you're always handling business, you're always on top of things. And then some men are intimidated by that. And so a part of me feels like Ike was intimidated about
Weak
her
Yeah.
men are intimidated. Weak
clock
men.
it, please. Nicole, say it one more time for the people in the back. What kind of men?
Weak men are the ones that are threatened by strong women. And I say that as a strong woman who was
Correct.
told by everyone and their mother on the internet that she was married to a weak man. And I will tell you, this is not a weak man. And do you have a problem with me being a little less feminine, a little more in your face?
No.
So it's
No,
okay.
In
not
your
at all.
face. So I'm the same way, Nicole, but sometimes I want to respect the man that I'm dating and I want him to know, hey, you can step up and be my king, or you can step up and be strong for us, or you can handle business. And I would like to see that so I can take the back seat because sometimes I get tired of being a driver and setting up everything. Like, let me relax. Give me my roses. Like, pamper me, let me be the passenger princess. I don't want to say a word and lift a finger and use my voice sometimes. But y'all, you and Chris have a great marriage, and I saw him get your flowers and stuff. I saw like the little Valentine's love,
Well,
like
I
he
was
be
just
coming
going to
through for
say,
you.
like,
Like,
that's marriage because I
yeah,
definitely have the more dominant personality and I'm more of the director role in this marriage, but it's very give and take. There are
yeah,
times when I sit there, like last night, I got home from a late flight. I sat on the couch. I put my feet on him. I didn't even say anything. He just started rubbing them. He put on the
yes,
Married at First Sight so
Chris.
we could watch it. I didn't even have to think. I was just decompressing. I didn't have to, direct him or say anything. But then there were other times I texted him on the plane. I'm like, hey, garbage goes out tonight with an emoji. And he's like, yeah, it's been out since this morning. Boom.
Yes,
So,
Chris. Go,
yeah.
Chris. Go, Chris.
But that's a good marriage because one person will always be more dominant naturally. But if you're always the dominant one or always the
It's
person being
exhausting.
dominated, it's
It's
not good. So,
exhausting. No,
yeah, it's nice to have a little give and take.
I love that. That's some good
Yeah.
gems for tonight.
Well, it's also like I said. I mean, I travel a lot more for work than she does, so it's just noticing that stuff, like making sure. Like I honestly, when I come home, I always come home to the sheets washed in the bed, it completely made, and everything else, and it's like I got to hold up my end of everything too when she's gone because she's not gone nearly as much as I am. So when I see that stuff, I'm like, you know what, she better come home to a house that's taken care of because if not, she's gonna stop doing it for when I travel. So,
I
No.
love
no.
that. Y'all don't make me cry.
I think someone like MM will, I don't think she'll ever
She'll be fine.
naturally take a back seat, but I think with the right man, he'll love that she steps up and he'll step up when it's important. And I think Ikechi was just not that man. He just needed someone he could dominate and mold, and she's not it.
I mean, in the most respectful way possible, the man was a clown. So like
100% clown behavior. I said that when he walked in with the papers.
I loved it when she just read all that stuff and told him
Yeah.
like it was in front of the experts and said like, "Hey, this consultation was on the house," because it reminded me a lot of like her free consultations that she gave everybody. But at the same
No,
time,
They were different.
I love that she did that, but at the same time, she did kind of show some of what he was talking about in
But
doing
she
that.
did.
but who
Because
But
when she,
cares?
no, let me say what she
yeah,
said, because I typed it to myself. She said, "You are a burning bag of dogs."
She's
Oh
not
my
wrong.
gosh, I never heard anybody say that before. I said, okay, now that's why he talks about you, because look what you're sitting here and saying. You're technically showing us that what he's saying is true. Like you said, Chris. She demonstrated that right
yeah.
there. She handed us herself on a plate.
He just needs somebody who isn't trying to get to know him, like who's very submissive and just does whatever he needs because she's obviously a stronger personality and he just couldn't handle it. And he made it seem like it was all her, but he needs to look at himself. A lot of like narcissistic behavior and stuff is them projecting onto the other person and putting their
Mm-hmm.
insecurities into that person and blaming them. Like, and that's a lot
Yeah.
of what I saw was happening. But again, I mean, he honestly should have never signed up for the show.
No,
Period.
Twice.
and that was his
Yeah.
second time, and
He
he moved
yeah.
and everything. And I do feel like they were not a good match. And I really, it makes me so sad because I want both of them to find, I always want people to find love. Like, I always want to be so hopeful for each couple. But she needs a man that's either on her level and above her, or either she needs a man that is not on her level that wants to serve her as a woman and
Yeah.
Yeah.
do kind gestures and show her she deserves her flowers because that'll make her lean into him and be in love even more. So I just really think that the experts messed up on that match, honestly. And I feel like for Ike, I feel like he needs a woman that wants to lean into him that's creative because he's more of a creative person, but her attitude just wasn't a good fit for him. And so it made him shut down. Her brother's attitude wasn't a good fit. And I think they're African. So African Americans have a very dominant trait. And so I just think that the whole dynamics of that family did not work out for him because that's
Yeah.
not the type of gentleman that
Yeah.
he is. I do feel like he can be a gentleman, but to the right woman who wants to receive that from him.
Yeah, he needs someone who's like a little more kind of reserved, quieter, like laid back.
Yeah,
He should have said assertive and not aggressive. Like there's a difference there. And
correct.
she's more assertive and I
Yeah.
didn't really feel like she was aggressive obviously until he brought that out of her in all honesty.
Yeah, he brought the
So
dog out of her.
so I think MM's gonna be fine though.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna make a wonderful wife for
She
some
is.
guy that can handle her, but
Hmm.
she just needs
Can handle her. That's very triggering for people who have
well,
been
I need a
told.
man that can handle me.
Well, I
It's a
I
song.
just feel
there's
like
a lot of
We're
how many
allowed to
times
handle. Women are allowed to handle,
no,
honey.
no, there's a lot of situations in dating where like, oh well, can this man handle me? It's like
Hmm.
yeah, but
you
once
know,
We don't want to
again,
trigger anybody, though.
no, but
yeah,
the
it's true.
reason why that's triggering is because that to me says more about the man than the woman. Like if you need a specific man to handle you, and listen, there are women who are a lot. Like I know I've been told I'm a
I'm a
lot.
piece of work, child.
And I am too. And there are women who put us to shame. So I'm not saying that
Yeah.
every person can be well received by everyone and there are different energies, but she is just a woman who knows what she wants and is very willing to bend. She was. If she was very stubborn, like, this is what I am, this is what I want, this is what I need, I would be like, okay, he obviously was not willing to change for her. But she was like, okay, you don't want to text, I'll still go on a date with you. You don't want to be married, you just want to date and get ice cream? Okay. So I feel like any man who just has respect can quote unquote handle her. But because he didn't have respect for what she was, who she was, it just wasn't going to work. And that's okay.
I agree, Nicole.
Once again, the way they went about this was disgusting. Like, he could have easily just ended it one of the 17 times they talked about ending it.
Well, I mean, do you think that MM or Michelle would have made a good match for Allan? Because he seems like a good guy. Like, he seems like a good guy that, but I don't know. I mean, do you? I'm just curious. No?
I don't think so. But Married at First Sight is not a mix and match.
No,
it's
I know it's not. I'm just
Love Island where we find the matches.
Since there was
I might apply for Love Island.
Since there was a whole couple swap thing, I was just playing devil's advocate and like, do you think that Allan could have potentially found something with one of the other two?
No, neither one of them. Allan needs a sweetheart. Allan needs a little sweetie pie. He needs a sweetheart, like, cause he's a sweetheart, and he's gonna get that. And I want to follow his life forever because. Oh, look, fireworks. Allan, you get fireworks.
Maybe it's you.
Baby,
Kirsten's still single.
How did that happen? But Allan, we have hope for you. But no, Michelle would have looked at Allan just like Madison looked at Allan. When men are too nice, women don't respect it. They, for whatever reason, I think that they want a man that's like, I don't know, just crazy.
Nice.
You're Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah, I was literally labeled Mr. Nice Guy.
You are a nice
Chris,
guy.
you are Mr. Nice Guy, but I love you. I love you because Nicole loves you too. Like, I love y'all. And when I say that, I genuinely mean that. I went through a process with y'all. We still have a connection today. I come to y'all's house. Like, I love y'all.
Well, because Chris isn't a pushover. There's a difference between being nice and being a doormat. And Chris is the nice guy and you're respectful, but you're most definitely not a pushover. And that was an issue we had when we were filming, where I was afraid you were going to be too nice and just appease me, and it turned into a whole thing. And you were like, no, I'm definitely not going to do that. And then everything was fine. But I projected that fear of him being too nice onto the situation. And I don't know. I also think Allan has a lot of things he needs to work through. Madison has a lot of things. Michelle has a lot of things. And we all have a lot of things, but they can't be working on all these things at the same time. There's too much. We got to heal a little before we start mixing people that are healing.
Amen,
I
honey.
agree.
And that's why I feel like on the show, they need to see the experts more. I know that somebody called the expert after it happened. I think Michelle had called.
Yeah, Michelle called
Pastor Cal.
To be on the other line, I would have loved to see his reaction.
Me
He probably
too.
took his glasses off. He probably took his glasses off.
I know he did. He said.
He did what?
But I love that he always has empathy for people. He was like, I'm sorry. I am so sorry to hear that. Because when that happened to me on decision day, y'all, he walked all the way back there to that room, made sure I was okay, and like definitely comforted me during that moment. But I love that he always tells people sorry. But I definitely feel like they need to have some type of healing sessions. You need that. And it's like they need to take some time and go heal.
They will.
They will.
And yeah, I mean, obviously Camille and Thomas are being overshadowed by all the drama and stuff that's happening, but they have a really beautiful, wonderful relationship going on. And then like Juan and Carla, they're not going to make it, but they're very respectful of each other.
But
correct. They know what's up.
I want them so badly to say yes on decision day and just
Juan and Carla
and just give it a shot and see what happens, because I don't think that they're this great big romance, but not every romance has to be a fairy tale. Yeah. I think the way they work together, I mean, maybe they could also be coworkers. I don't know, but they just
fun.
They really complement each other in such a way that you don't see a lot.
They do. Remember, I was in love with Juan and Carla at the very beginning of the show, Nicole. Remember, I wanted them to work out. Like, it was Juan and Carla and Camille and Thomas who I just knew had a good chance to be together.
Yeah, I remember you wanted them to be together, and yeah, I just want them to give it a chance. I
I
like
do
them.
too. I like them too, but sometimes I do feel like Juan is more playful, and that's where Carla has an issue with him because sometimes I don't like when men play. Like, be serious or be loving and caring or thoughtful. Like, nobody feels like playing all the time.
So decision day is tomorrow. I hope Juan and Carla say yes. I know they won't, but I hope they say yes. And I'm really, I mean, there's only two couples, but I hope Camille and Thomas say yes because I think that there's a love story we're just not seeing. Madison and David, you better be together still after all this trouble you caused. Because
Yeah, right.
seriously, make it worth it. Make it make sense. But what do you think about decision day coming up? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we got a whopping 2 couples that are going to be making it to decision day. So, I mean, I hope that Juan and Carlos say yes, but I honestly don't think they're going to say yes. I think there's too much of a friend vibe there, and I think that's what they're going to stick with.
But we're friends.
So, no, I know, but I just think that they're probably going to say no. But I think Camille and Thomas definitely say yes. They haven't had really any hiccups at all throughout the season from what we've seen, so I think they'll say yes.
I honestly only have hope in only one couple, and that's been the same couple from the very beginning of episode one, which is Camille and Thomas. I hope that they have, what do we call them? Katamas?
Tamil.
Tamil. Yes, I hope that Tamil, that's their Hollywood name. I hope that they have a very cute baby and they stay together. He's so dorky, but I like him. And when he was kissing on her while she was getting a massage, I said, okay, he's leaning into it. So I just really hope that he continues to lean into it, and I hope she leans into him. But sometimes I do kind of like get the feeling that she's not 100% interested in him. I feel like she's only like 75% interested in him. Something about me tells me she likes him a little rough around the edges.
Yeah, but that's okay. Decision day can be about I want to still explore this marriage. You
Correct.
don't have to stay together forever. If you're lucky enough, like us and some other
Well,
couples, you do. But
what's wild is we're the last successful couple the show's had.
no, we're welcoming Camille and Thomas.
Yeah,
They're
no, that's what I
going to
mean.
say yes.
We'll
Please
gladly
welcome
pass the
them with
torch
open
on.
arms. Yeah, pass the torch to them because
We'll
I
pass the
Trying.
want to
torch
see
on.
the
We're the last
torch.
successful couple.
The torch must be passed. Please.
I'm not gonna lie. I am actually looking forward to seeing their reunion too because it's
Oh,
gonna
hell
be
yeah.
a juicy reunion.
Get your popcorn.
I wonder did they already record the reunion, baby? Because I know it's piping hot tea. I'm about to call David. Let me see if he want to slide in my DMs and give me his phone number. I'm about to message him.
He probably learned his lesson
He'll
not to
pro-
I'm
message
say
other girls.
he'll probably eat
he
you up.
looked at my story y'all yesterday. I'm about to message him. Say, hey, how's it going? I just want to send you positive energy.
Before we get on too much of a tangent, thank you everyone for listening to another episode of D-List Diaries. Thank you, Chris, for joining us for the male perspective. Thank you, Kirsten, for getting all heated, even though you didn't use a curse word. But next week, I'm going to get you.
Kirsten's got a curse.
Kirsten's got a curse. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like that.
No, a good curse. Oh my gosh. Y'all are don't stress me out.
Vicachi, what do you think of him? One
I
word.
don't like him.
Damn, I thought
Hideous.
I was going to get it.
Hideous.
It is.
Ooh, ooh. All right.
He's
Well, I'll take
hideous.
it.
He's got to find a hat that fits his head.
And they're just so small. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. You know where to find us on Instagram, Gmail, dlistdiaries@gmail.com. And tune in next week for another episode. We will be talking about Decision Day. So we'll see you then. Bye.
See you
Bye.
then. Bye.